Alrighty. Seems like we got one person. Hello. So I'm going to wait a little bit since I sent the notification so everybody can know that the lecture is going to start. All the other good stuff. Any other Foundation personnel? Hey, Mr. Stoozy. The focus is blurry. It does that sometimes, but the best thing you should know is just listen to my words. But I'm gonna get started because 2 people is already enough since a small amount of people watch anyway sometimes. But I'm gonna erase this on this board. So for those who don't know, because I already did a few classes on this for the day, so there has been some issues with the researcher because I'm the assistant researcher. I don't know what SCP is, and that's the reason why you're here. Now, for the others who don't know, the researcher who was supposed to be here with you teaching about this stuff, he's been having some issues with the other Foundation personnel. It's been a whole mess. I'm a little bit unprepared because it was so sudden. Let's see. Yeah, so it was so sudden and stuff, and now me as an assistant researcher, I have to pretty much teach you. So you will refer to me as Dr. Lennon. So I am Dr. Lennon. I'm the assistant researcher of Dr. Dane. He was supposed to be here teaching you level 1 clearance about the basic stuff that you need to do before you continue with future research and containing anomalies, all the other good stuff. So that's why I'm here as an assistant researcher. That's my job. Now, let me look on here so I can see what I'm supposed to teach you again. Oh, and for that question about what is SCP, that is, so S means secure. Hold on, let me spell that right. Secure. C means contain. And P means protect. Also, keep in mind, I'm recording this, so in case if we ever need to come back on this, you all will know. So, S means secure, C means contain, P means protect. We're mainly just here to research SCPs. We don't get involved with any wars or anything like that. We're basically like the Men in Black, like the movie you see Will Smith in, before Will Smith went on a downhill. But back onto the lecture, I'm going to talk about object classes. So object classes, very important when you become a researcher, all the other stuff. You need to know what object classes are because if anything, that's the main thing you have to classify an SCP by. So let me write this down. Object class. Safe. Euclid. Keter. Oh, what's the other one? Thaumiel. Which is a sick name, by the way. Thaumiel. Neutralize. And Paul, I spelled that wrong. Gosh darn it. Apollyon. So, important stuff that you need to know. Do you, what is SCP? Do you have a black marker? No, I don't. This is the only marker I have. Is SCP a game? It can be a game, it can be a movie, it can be the wiki. The wiki is where mostly comes from. Have a black marker. We can't read the red. Good question. Is it a game? I'm confused. So off roleplay, because I'm trying to roleplay here. That's what makes it fun. So off roleplay. What is that? I'm confused as well. Yeah, so what it is, I'm gonna tell you the origins of how the SCP thing started. So you guys might be familiar with the website 4chan. It originated from 4chan, then it originated. Then it moved on to become a wiki, because Wikipedia is where you can get all your information from. That's what SCP Wiki does. If you go to SCP Wiki then that's where you're gonna find all of your information. It's a Creative Commons. People make their own SCPs, their own stories. It's very complex because it's a Creative Commons, so that's why you'll see them as movies and as video games. Because people make them as video games, but don't make it as official movies. They make it just as fan movies. So all the movies and games that you see are all just fan content, but everything lies in the SCP Wiki, SCP Wiki if you want to look it up. But yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know about that. So if anything, you don't really need to be confused. I mean, I can understand why you're confused, but you don't really need to be confused because you will just see it anywhere. So it doesn't really matter. You don't have to really be confused about it because if you just look it up, if you want to see it as a movie, you see it as a movie. Like take for example, Overlord, right? If you look up SCP Overlord, you'll find it as a fan film. If you look up SCP Containment Breach, you look it up as an SCP game or a fan game, and then just you'll find all of it in YouTube. But back on to the lecture. So, learning about object classes. So, when you look at safe, what is the first thing that comes into mind? Because keep in mind, anomalies are dangerous. Some are dangerous, some are not. So, what comes into mind when you think of a safe class? I want to at least see if some of you can, answer this question. I'm going to probably get a little closer so I can see the chat. And keep in mind, I'll try to make this fast as I can. And the only reason I'm also asking this question is because people get this confused a lot. Yes, safe class. Like, what does it mean? Okay, so one doesn't know and the other one is not sure. So, safe class. Again, anomalies are some anomalies are dangerous and some are not. So, safe class can mean anything. Let's say you have a box of oranges, right? And it's like you don't expect much from it. Let me see what that says. I'm here for support law. I don't know what you say. It's okay. But let's say, for example, you have a box of peaches. Now, let me see what the other comment says. Okay, y'all laughing. You're trying to be funny, huh? You're trying to be funny. But anyways, take, for example, safe class. You got peaches. Let's say the peaches doesn't do anything yet because you're holding it, but once you eat it, you die. And you could mistake it for a disease, but it's like almost every one of it's like they look perfect. There's nothing wrong about them, but it's just if you eat it, you die. The only thing that makes them safe is because they're easy to contain. Because if they're in a box, all you have to do is just take that box and put them in containment. That simple. Because just because something says it's a safe class does not mean that it's actually safe. It's just easy to contain, which is what I'm going to put on here. Again, remember, it's just more important that you focus on my voice. I'm only writing this on here so you can just look at it. Even if the marker that I have is bad. Easy to contain. We're here with you. Just keep going. Oh, so safe is taking away like a math problem. So I guess you could say it like that. I guess you could say it like that. But pretty much, like, let's say, for example, this chair right here. Let me see. This exact chair right here. If I sit on it, it will keep me attached to the seat, and then I will slowly die because I don't have any food to like get to or anything like that, or the chair is eating me alive because I'm sitting on it. Then the simple thing you can do is just pick it up. Instead of sitting on it, you pick it up and you put it in containment. That's safe class because it's easy to contain. It's not really hard to contain, but it will still kill you. But don't get me wrong, some safe classes they don't kill you. But just let's move on to the next one. Euclid. So Euclid, just like safe class, it's kind of easy to contain. You just need to add caution to it because, take for example, there's a statue that you have to keep looking at, right? And it won't move unless you don't make eye contact with it. So it's gonna be a little bit hard to contain because you have to keep your eyes open. So you're gonna have to use something in order to keep it still and then move it somewhere. Or take for example, you have a guy that doesn't like being looked at, so you can't look at his face, and then you're gonna have to have caution because sometimes he might look around over his shoulder and he sees you, and then he looks at your face, but you looked at his face, and he gets mad and he's going to kill you for it. So that's why you need to provide caution when it comes to these Euclid anomalies. And like again with that guy I just said, put a bag over his head. It's like it only requires a little bit of resource in order to contain the anomaly. So pretty much that's that. I'm gonna just put extra resource because I want to at least save a bit of this marker. Extra resource. Keter. Keter is the next one we're going to be moving on to. Before I move on to Keter, is there anything you want to say about Euclid? Is there anything you want to know about so I can explain it to you? Because after all, we're here to learn, and I'm here to lecture you about it. Because if not, then we can move on to the next one. Excuse me, I had a voice crack. Because if not, I'll move on to Keter. So, Keter, it's, let me see. No, I'm chilling so far. No question. All right, got it. I'm sorry, these glasses are a little bit blurry. It's funny because the camera gets all blurry and stuff, but these glasses are blurry, so it's hard to see the chat from here. Also, I have this recording, so it kind of blurs out the outside part that's not being recorded. I'm not going to get into that; it's irrelevant. But Keter class. So Keter, just like Euclid. See the similarities between Euclid and Keter is compared to like safe is that when you have safe anomalies, they don't just come up to you to kill you. But with like Euclid and Keter, sometimes they do. So like with Keter, they're just probably the worst ones, right? So take for example, you have a reptile. Let's see. Yeah, so let's say you have a reptile that can just keep regenerating. And it's like even if you like burn him to an atom or whatever, he will still regenerate. He's hard to kill. And if he were to get loose, because keep in mind, this lizard can grow big and then he can destroy a whole lot of things. So if he were to escape and then grow, then he's going to be hard to contain because we got people have to deal with the combatants have to deal with that by shooting him, turning him into little bits and all that stuff. And it's going to take a lot of time, and it's going to take a lot of casualties in order to contain them again. Or take, for example, a more simpler one to understand, which is SCP-106, right? He's an old man, and he's like lived for so long, and it's like this guy, he has like so many abilities. It's no wonder why he's never been caught, because he can walk through walls. He's intangible. So not only is he able to walk through walls, but he can create pocket dimensions. For those who don't know pocket dimensions, it's not. It can you can make a joke and say it can be something that you have in your pocket and all that stuff, but it's just something that it's like your own little world that you can just summon out of nowhere. That's what he has. So he takes his victims, all the other stuff. He walks the walls, and not only that, the pocket dimensions he creates has this like liquid that if it were to come on you, it will start to burn like acid. Pretty simple. And him walking through walls is already enough to tell you that he's hard to contain. So people in the Foundation, let me see. Is SCP-106 a creature, and how many creatures are there? See, that is the issue. So starting off with 106, 106 is more of a humanoid. He's a humanoid. So pretty much he's, I guess you could call him a creature now, but from like the stories, he wasn't a creature before. He fought in, I think, World War I or World War II. The point is that he fought in the World Wars. He was a human, but then eventually he became something into like some kind of creature, and now he just likes hurting people. So I'm gonna keep it at that. But when it comes to like other creatures, there are like unspeakable amounts. Like there are thousands of these dudes, and it's even crazier because some of these anomalies aren't even like people or something. They can be places like a whole area, like a whole desert can be an anomaly. You get my point here? So yeah, pretty much that's something I can tell you about SCPs. That's your a little additional information for the week, or at least for the day, because I got this lecture to do tomorrow. But yeah, Keter, they're basically very hard to contain. You know what? Screw the marker. I've used it so many times in my previous classes. We're not doing them. I hate it. Anyways, Keter, pretty simple, very hard to contain. Now, Thaumiel. Thaumiel is kind of like how you would say about safe. Just because it says it's safe doesn't mean it's actually safe. It's just easy to contain. Just like with Thaumiel, even though it's a class that's above Keter, doesn't mean it's basically like a strong SCP. Sometimes it could mean that the SCP is useful in order, like in a way to contain other SCPs. Like let's say this SCP is able to summon a cage around people, so we can use that SCP to contain another SCP that's just difficult to catch or something like that. How do you contain a creature or Keter? So that's the thing about Keter is that like it's really hard to contain them. So you have in the Foundation, we think of new ways to contain these creatures. Because keep in mind, these creatures are not all the same; they're all very different. So you have to think of new ways to contain these anomalies. And we've been secret for so long that we just been able to stay secret and not get caught, all that good stuff. And it's just it's like sometimes we can use simple methods, just we have to like upgrade it in a way. Take for example 096, which is the guy I was telling you about with like the whole bag and doesn't like being looked at or he will kill you. He's a perfect example of how you would want to contain some of these anomalies. The only issue is he's a Euclid, not a Keter, but he's still a good reference point. So with him, you want to put a bag over his head and then put him in a box with no cameras, so people can't see his face. Because he'll see you if you see him through like any pictures or any video recordings. He will still find you somehow. He knows, and he will still kill you. And but like if it's drawn out, that's no issue. But then it's like if you were to ever escape containment, then you want to put on these goggles in order to help you contain it. So sometimes it's not just using a tool, it's using like other things, like pretty much. I'm not sure a better way to explain it, because it's like you want to use something basic, but you also want to use something else to help assist you. Just like I said with the goggles, it takes out his face. Then you can go up to him, put the bag on, and then just carry him into his box, and then put him back in containment. Simple as that. Just like how with 682, see, that's a different thing, because it's like you'd have to shoot him multiple times until he just stops moving. Then you can take pieces of his body, put him in a pool of acid to keep him contained, stuff like that. It's like with Keter, there are multiple methods. How do you contain? Oh wait, that's the same question. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's like with Keter, there's multiple methods that you need to take in order to contain these anomalies. With Euclid, you don't need that much, but with like Keter, you need like multiple ways to contain them, and not only that, sometimes it takes long. That's why they're Keter. Now, Thaumiel, back to what I was saying. Thaumiel, they are basically just like SCPs that you want to use to contain another SCP. And another example, before so I can move on, because I got to wrap this up soon. There's this girl, her name is Iris, right? So she can take a picture and she can pretty much manipulate everything by like taking something out of the picture, right? Not sure how she does it, like how she can just take her hand and then pick up whatever trees that's in the camera, but she can do that. So if you look at the actual spot where she took the picture from, then the tree's gone. It's weird, but it's possible. Well, yet again, you shouldn't even really question it, because in a world where there's a lot of creatures like this, then it shouldn't even really be surprising to you. Now, neutralize. Neutralize should be pretty simple for people like me to help understand. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't even know what you were saying there, but I have to move on. So, neutralize. Pretty self explanatory. You ever see a movie where a character says target neutralized and they're referring to the guy that they just killed? Pretty much like that. So, basically, if an SCP is neutralized or a neutralized class, that means that they're no longer these classes that you see here. They're neutralized, which means they either don't exist anymore, they're dead, destroyed, all the other good stuff. Good idea. I'm doing the best to follow it. And interesting, though. Just wish I understood more. It's a lot to take in, which is why this is level 1. Because, and I think that's just me, because I overcomplicate things sometimes when I should just stick to the basics. Because I should have only asked questions after I got done explaining everything. But neutralize, dead, destroyed, doesn't exist. Simple as that. Apollyon. Now, if anything, Apollyon is probably one of the most concerning ones that you want to look at. I think you choose difficult topic to teach. Well, it's not really that difficult, because really these 3 right here are the main focus, but I'm teaching the extra ones because just in case. Apollyon is basically just impossible to contain. So let's say somebody just keeps running around and you can't catch it. Just like your daily pup running around, you don't know what's in his mouth, and he's just hard to catch because he just wants to keep chewing on whatever dangerous object he's chewing on, and it gets on your nerves, and you're just worried about his well-being. But another example could be like a god. He could end the world, and if and he hasn't done it yet, but when he comes to the point where he wants to end the world, we can't do nothing about it. Impossible to contain. But all these three right here at the bottom, these are some that we use less. We use Stormfield sometimes, but we still use it less. But these three up here, safe, you click Keter, those are the ones we use the most. But if anything, those are the ones you should mostly focus on. So yeah, it isn't really much of a difficult topic simply because it just I'm gonna put it in a short way. Safe, just because it says it's safe doesn't mean it's safe. Euclid, it requires extra resource to contain and it can just come up to kill you. Keter, it's really hard to contain, so you need more and new methods in order to contain it. Thaumiel, use an SCP to contain another SCP. Neutralize, it's dead or destroyed. Apollyon, impossible to contain. Simple as that. What makes it impossible to contain? Since we can't contain it, do we just murk it? No, because if anything, sometimes some of the anomalies that's already contained, they're already plans for like termination because they're too dangerous to be kept not only in the facility but kept in the world. Just like 096. It's like if everybody were to get an image of his face, then he'll kill everybody and nothing will stop him. So that's why he's targeted for termination. With Apollyon, you could say you can target for termination, but the only problem is you won't be able to do anything about it because it just can't be stopped. So yeah, pretty much that. That's gonna wrap that up. But yeah, I'm not using this marker because it's terrible and I'm angry. Now, moving on to hazards. Now, I'm not going to do too much of the hazards simply because some of them kind of like mean the same thing, so there's really no point in explaining all of them. But cognito hazards and memetic hazards. Let me see if this is working again. Yeah, terrible. But yeah, cognito hazards. So cognito hazards is basically like these are like these hazards. These terms are something you will hear in real life, but when it comes to the Foundation, it means different because it's important to use these when you're referring to anomalies. This is so dope. I wish I knew the basics. Do you have a basic YouTube video or live stream of all this? Again, I'm recording this, so I might as well post it once I'm done. But yeah, I might do another live stream because I do it on Twitch and stuff. But back onto the role play, right? Cognito hazards. So cognito hazards is basically, let's say there's an anomaly that is either around you or you touch, right? So it can affect your sense of smell, hearing, touch, taste, all that other stuff, right? It could do many things to you because when it comes to cognito hazards, it really depends on the SCP if it's harmful or it could kill you or just real bothersome. So say for example, there's a person who's standing right in front of me, and if I'm near him, that's a cognito hazard. And if I'm starting to feel like my hand is on fire, then I see fire on my arm, but then nobody else sees it, then that's a cognito hazard. And pretty much it's like it can affect you in a way where it's like you feel it, but it's not really there. Almost like hallucinations, but the hallucinations are actually giving you pain. Memetic hazards. So it kind of works like cognito hazards, like I said, except that most of the time it's when you look at something. So if you see like a symbol, you see a person's face or whatever, that's a cognito hazard. And sometimes it can affect others, which means it can be a contagious or a virus. So it kind of acts just like cognito hazard, but it spreads. Because at least with cognito hazards, it does it one by one, but with memetic, it just spreads everywhere, and you're like the main source of it. Now, info hazard. Now, info hazard should be a little bit explanatory by itself because it has the name info in it, and it's a hazard. So basically, if you know a certain anomaly, then it can be harmful to you. And if you tell somebody about that anomaly, it can be harmful to them and yourself. So if you know about an anomaly, then you're pretty much either screwed or you're just going to have a bit of like a baller for a while because not again info anomalies aren't always harmful, but again some are, so got to be wary of that. And the last one I'm going to talk about is biological hazards. So again, self-explanatory, it has bio in it, so biology. So basically, anything that happens to, like if you're in front of an anomaly and it comes up to you, touches you, and then it does something to your body, like if it makes it melt or it shapes it into something else, then that's a biohazard. Or like if they make your body into like a flesh that just goes and consumes everybody, like a flesh monster, then that's a biohazard. So anything that like involves with like biology, that's a biohazard. Now, I'm gonna wrap this up because it's been a little too long. I was supposed to wrap this up like 4 minutes ago. So, how I'm gonna wrap this up is for all the foundation personnel. I'm gonna try this one more time. Again, it's not working, but I was going to write NTF. So, the one of the people in here, uh, Late Nights with Ari podcast. So she had asked what was Mobile Task Force before, right? Just like SCP, SCP means Secure, Contain, Protect. MTF means Mobile Task Force. Now, it's important to know them because in case if there's like a containment breach, then the issue can be dealt with by the mobile task forces, all that good stuff. The thing about the mobile task force is that they don't always stay in one place. They keep moving to different places, and like the places that they stayed in will always be switched out by a different mobile task force. They just keep moving, They don't stay for long. So mobile task force is basically just like the best of the best in the foundation when it comes to combatives. You got security, you got field operatives, well, not field operatives, but field agents. The field operatives are the mobile task force. I apologize, I messed that up, but you get the point. It's really important to know them because they really are like the people that help with containment breaches in case that were to happen. Mostly Epsilon 11. So if you ever see if like there's a containment breach and you see some guys in orange, then these are the guys you can rely on to at least take you out to safety. This is really interesting. I'm glad I stuck around. I'm gonna do some research so when you go live, I can understand some more stuff like this. Same. Okay, and I appreciate y'all for at least supporting and stuff because I was on Twitch, only one person stayed, and I was live earlier, and there was like 4 people. Like there's 4 people now, but it's like I'm about to end this live, so I don't know. But yeah. Also, to wrap it up with the mobile task force that I was talking about, there's like a ton of them. Just like how there's a ton of SCPs, there is a ton of mobile task forces. And if you are curious as to what the mobile task forces are for and what makes them so special, is that they do different. They just deal with different SCPs, like almost like having an MOS, which is a military occupation specialty, right? So let's say you're good with rocket launchers, you're good with snipers. That's a military occupation specialty. So just like with the mobile task force, their MOS is just depending on the SCPs that they deal with. Maybe stay live. Let us get to know you. I've been on like live for like 36 minutes, and I was supposed to be done like at 30 minutes. So I really do have to wrap this up because I have to save time for like the next lecture and all that other good stuff. So is there any questions you want to know so I can help you on knowing? and I really need my lab coat and stuff. What should we do to prepare for the next live? So, if the next live is anything SCP related or whatever, so if it comes to like lectures, like just like this one, because I'm still gonna be doing more basic lectures. I'm doing it for the whole week. Then if Dr. Dane is like cleared from what he was doing, whatever that he was doing. Basically, all I've heard is that he's been doing some stuff with other personnel, mostly the females, as far as I can tell. And you can pretty much take a good guess as to what's going on. I don't know, but if he is not cleared, and if he ever gets demoted, either I have to replace him or somebody else will have to replace him as researcher, which means I won't be assistant researcher, which means that on the second week you're gonna need like notebooks, all that other stuff. Take notes on this stuff because I'm going to be talking about very specific stuff that are going to be hard to remember. Because this is just basic stuff, so this is not too hard. But it's like next week, if things go well, then I'll have to talk more about more complicated things, and then after that, we're going to be using SCPs and learning about them and using them as an example for other specific things that are complicated for others to learn, But yeah, and if you need like better assistance, go on the SCP go on the SCP wiki and it should give you some of the information that you need. I'm gonna head out, man. Next time you go live, I'm gonna be here to learn some more. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Well, if anything, I'm going to turn this live off anyway, simply because that concludes the lecture for today. But I do have some of these. Don't forget that YouTube pretty much records my lives, or basically just keeps the live in my YouTube channel, so you can pretty much go back to it and see what it is. But yeah, so that kind of concludes the lecture, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'll see y'all later. Bye.